StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, we are on part 2 of our ongoing mini-series, which is the second part of back-to-back mini-series on the same subject, which is talking about the red pill community or the red pill messes or whatever they're calling themselves or whatever their detractors are calling them. We're talking about the red pill, what I think about it. I argued why it was good 3 episodes ago and 2 episodes ago, and yesterday, I talked about why some people may not like the red pill community. And today I'm going to continue with the other criticisms that people may have of the red pill community. I'm going to tell you how I feel about those criticisms. So don't need to give any background on this because I already gave it to you. If you didn't hear the previous 3 episodes, make sure you go check them. And let's just continue and pick up where we left off, which is point number 4. Some say, again, we're talking here today about why the red pill movement is a terrible thing for society. Number 4, some say that the red pill movement is only an echo chamber that confirms and validates things that many men may cynically already believe about life and about women. In other words, is reinforcing negative beliefs that men may already have about females and about life, rather than challenging them to think and behave differently. My response to that is that this is some tricky language. And you hear me point this out often, that people tend to use really slippery language, sometimes on purpose, most of the time unconsciously. They use this language that can be interpreted in many different ways. And that's the reason why someone like myself, I'm always making sure that you clearly understand the context of the words that I use when I use a word that could be interpreted in more than one way, or a phrase. So when they say, the detractors of the red pill movement say that it is not challenging men to think and behave differently, I disagree with this. This is actually wrong. It's not even I disagree. This is just factually incorrect. The red pill movement is indeed challenging men to think and behave differently. What the detractors have a problem with is that the different that they want is different than the different that the red pill movement is giving them. I mean, we can't say the red pill movement is not causing men to think differently. It absolutely is. It's just, what are you causing them to think differently about, and how, and in what direction? So it's like, I was doing a live stream today talking about this exact topic, that the people in the red pill movement, let's say everybody's standing in the middle, or let's say the people who disagree with the red pill movement, if everyone's standing in the middle, they want men to be challenged to think and behave in a way that sends them all the way to the east. Whereas the red pill movement is causing men to think and behave in a way that sends them all the way to the west. So is it causing them to think differently? Of course it is. Is it causing them to behave differently? Yes, it is. That's the reason why the red pill movement is a movement, because it is causing change in men. It's causing change in certain men who are plugging into their messes. The change is absolutely happening. So when people say, well, you're not challenging men to think and behave differently, yes, they are. It's just not the different that you want. See, and this is the whole thing about when people talk about in society today, talk about the movement for change, right? Remember when the NBA and a whole bunch of companies and everybody's talking about the movement for change. I saw Lululemon with some of this nonsense, Nike with this bullshit, change. Well, see, the thing is, change for the sake of change is a bad idea. But a lot of people tend to get excited about it because it's better than the monotony of being consistent and disciplined and doing the same things the same way every time. And also because if people don't have things the way they want them, then they're going to stir up for change. The problem is, what kind of change are you asking for? Because change can happen in a lot of different directions. So when people say they are not challenging these men to think and behave differently, what they mean in context is that they want men to not have negative beliefs about women and not have cynical views about women. But if they don't articulate that, then it can send people to change, but not in the way that you expected them to change. My response to the proper way that they should word this, which is not the way that it is worded, is that men may have some cynical beliefs about life and about women, but those cynical beliefs are not completely unfounded. The same way that there are women out there, I see this on X all the time. A woman will say something like, every woman in the world has been in an experience where you had a man walking behind you, or a man got in the elevator with you, or a man was in a space where you were in, or you were walking by yourself late at night and you had your keys in between your fingers because you weren't sure you might need to use them to defend yourself. And every woman knows that terror and knows what that feeling feels like. And most men don't have never experienced that type of feeling. Now, does that happen every single time a woman is by herself, or is in an elevator with another man, or a man holds the door open for her, or she's in secluded space and there's a man there and she's there, does it always happen that there's some form of something that happens that actually causes her to have terror other than the thoughts that are in her own head? Is that something that happens every single day? The answer is no. But have there been situations that have occurred that would cause a woman to think that way? Possibly. The answer is hell yes, there have been. Now, are the women wrong for making that type of statement then? Because that seems like a very cynical statement, and it seems like a very doomsday type of way of thinking and way of going about life. And they're framing it as if women should just be afraid generally as men of men. If we just look at the statement just without any context, could people say that sounds like a very cynical and negative way of looking at life as a woman towards men? Of course you could say that. And at the same time, there's a bunch of women who would defend it and say, well, it's a real thing, Dre. Okay, fine. Then is it not a real thing that some women are manipulative and some women will use men and some women are just whores and they're not worth getting into a relationship with? Is that also true? Are there examples in life that prove that does sometimes end up being the case? The answer is hell yes. So if it's okay for women to have their frame, then it's okay for men to have their frame. That's my response to that. Many men in the red pill movement, this is what the criticism says, they obsess over female nature and how the woman is they frame the woman as almost being an enemy rather than an ally in life for a man. Now, I understand that there are people in the red pill movement who do frame things in this way. Like there are men out there who say, I remember when I was in college, there'd be men who would say stuff like, man, all the girls on this campus are just sluts and whores. And they just had this very negative, cynical view of how life was. And this is way before the red pill community even existed. Or there's just a cynical view of women, period. In general, are there men who think like this? Yes, there are. Have there been men who thought like this before the red pill, as I just explained to you? Yes. Are there men who think like this even without the red pill? Yes. And will there always be men who think like this? Absolutely. The same way there are women who have some negative stereotypes in their minds about men. All right, this is just a thing. This is just human nature. So I understand that this cynical approach can be harmful to a man's way of thinking. And yes, it can. At the same time, there are many examples that validate the frame. As I just said, again, women have examples that validate their frames. Why can't men have examples that validate theirs? And I will tell any man that you need to develop a discerning eye so that you can take what you have heard and what you've learned or what you've been told by other men about how women are XYZ and take that into account. At the same time, you need to be able to discern, okay, is the woman who I'm talking to right now, is she reflective of the things that I've been told, or is she different in a way? And a man has to be wise enough and discerning enough to determine if she fits the description of what you've been told by somebody else, or does she not? And the only way a man can develop that skill is by actually engaging with actual women in actual life, not by just taking things secondhand from another man. So you have to develop that discerning eye. Not every woman is the same. We all know this to be true. Not just like not every man is the same, but some of them actually are. Some of them actually are that negative stereotype that you've been taught. And again, this is what discernment is all about. The same way that a woman would need it, a man needs it as well. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, was we're on part 2 of our mini series of the red pill being bad for society, and me giving you what the negative points are that people make about it and giving you my response to it. Number 5, they say that some of the men in the red pill community are just straight up grifting. Grifting. This is a new term that has become more and more popular over the last several years. Specifically, I mostly hear people using it when they are talking about people in the political space. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, I got accused of grifting earlier this afternoon. The day that I'm recording this about 2:13 p.m. Eastern. I was accused of being a grifter earlier today, even though I don't know what I was grifting because I wasn't selling anything. I was just responding to something someone said on social media, doing my usual thing of proving people wrong on the internet. And someone said, well, this guy's just grifting. The definition of a grift is money made dishonestly, as in a swindle. So basically a scam. So you're making your money illegally and you're dishonestly fooling people into ways of making yourself money. That makes you a grifter. So what happens these days, this is the new wave, is that anytime someone is or appears to be making money from doing something that the accuser doesn't like, instead of just saying, I don't like what you're doing, or I disagree with your approach, or, I have a different opinion than you, instead of just saying that, which is the actual logical, rational truth, what people do instead is they try to throw a pejorative on you and put a negative label on you that makes you seem like a bad person, i.e. calling you a grifter. Oh, you're some type of scam artist or con man or swindler. You're making your money dishonestly simply because you have an opinion that I don't like. Again, this is what people do. It doesn't make any logical sense, but we all know most human beings don't think, they don't read, and they're lazy. And most people, because of that, they're not logical. So this is a term. Again, this word grift has always existed, but people just started using it a lot more over the last I would say, decade or so, especially since Donald Trump came into politics. And anyone who happens to support Donald Trump and they are steadfast in their support or steadfast of not going with the liberal talking points, they get accused of grifting, even when whatever they're sharing has nothing to do with making money. I'm on social media responding to somebody on X. I don't make money by responding to people on X, but someone calls me a grifter because I have an opinion that differs from theirs. Most people, again, are not logical, not rational, and can't formulate a cogent argument for a serious conversation. So, as I just told you, I get accused of this, depending on what type of conversation I get in, but I get accused of this on a consistent basis. Now, the concept, again, it means you're doing something dishonest or disingenuously. So the criticism of the red pill movement is that some of the influencers within the movement, with their audiences, that they are creating and selling courses, coaching, other types of programs to teach men the things that they want men to earn. I'm going to call bullshit on this critique. It is not a grift to sell people something that they want. The first 3 laws of economics, we just did a series laying these things out. So when we talk about, let me just give you the episode. That was episode 3261. It was just a few weeks ago when I gave you the first 3 laws of economics. Understand the first law of economics, ladies and gentlemen, is supply and demand. Meaning, if there is a demand for something, someone is going to supply it. And guess what? The red pill movement supplied the demand of young men and older men who were looking for an outlet to where they could be held accountable, taught more discipline, taught to be more responsible, taught to get their money up and become the best version of themselves. There are men out there who are looking for that, and there was someone out there who offered it. And if there is a demand of people looking for something and you supply it, you are abiding by the laws of economics. And if you have something to sell and people are willing to exchange their money in order to get it, that means you are doing business. That does not make you a grifter, doesn't make you a scammer or a con artist. If you say I'm selling ABC and people buy it expecting to get ABC and you indeed deliver them ABC, then that is a fair financial transaction. Even if you disagree with ABC, that does not make the person who is selling ABC wrong. If you are sworn off alcohol, will never drink a drop of alcohol ever in your life, that does not mean the person who sells alcohol is a grifter or a scammer or a con artist or a bad person, just because you don't like alcohol. Same thing with cigarettes, same thing with pornography, same thing with anything else that you disagree with. Just because somebody else is selling it does not mean that they're a bad person just because you personally disagree with it. All right, this is a childish way of responding to seeing something that you don't like. But again, as I already told you, most people are generally childish because they don't think, they don't read, and they're lazy, even though they are 35 years old. So this whole concept, folks, of calling someone a grifter when they're actually just following the laws of economics is because most people don't know the laws of economics. Again, supply and demand. So the people in the red pill community build up an audience by giving these men what they're looking for, and even more than maybe what they even thought they were looking for. The men buy more into the message. They get interested more in it. They want to learn more. So the people in the community go and create a course or a program or some coaching or whatever it is they have, a book, whatever it is, and sell it to people who happily buy it because they want more of the value that they've already been getting. Ostensibly, I would assume they first come across it getting it for free. What's the problem? How is this a grift? We know it's not a grift now that I've just broken down, but people like to throw these words out there because, again, they're emotionally upset with what they see and hear. So they have to come up with some emotional retort and put some pejorative on the person in order instead of just logically looking at it and saying, okay, I disagree with this, but I can't say that they're wrong for existing because they're not. You could disagree with OnlyFans and girls selling videos and pictures of their private parts in exchange for money, but you can't say that they're grifting because there are men who are happily paying it. Now, I did a whole episode where I told you about Instagram ass models because Instagram ass modeling is just a feeder system for men paying for access to, or not even, well, I guess you could say digital access to a woman. So Instagram ass model is just the free version of what you get to pay for when you get on something like OnlyFans or some webcam studio site. That's what Instagram ass modeling is. It's just a feeder system for the next level where you actually spend money. First we get your attention, then we get you to spend money. That's all it is. So a lot of influencers on the internet sell stuff. I'm on the internet. Some people would label me an influencer. I sell things. Just because someone's selling something that you disagree with does not mean that they are dishonest or disingenuous. I get people who say, well, you're grifting. You got a coaching program, so you must be grifting somehow with your university. I get people who actually say that to me because they look at the link in my profile and say, well, you must be grifting because you're selling something, because they disagree with my opinion, even though the subject has nothing to do with what I sell. Nothing at all. They just need to find something to attack me personally because they don't like what I said on a logical level. In other words, attacking the person because you don't like the point. And this is childish, and this is what most people do when they do not know how to formulate an argument. And the people who are selling stuff, number one, if you believe in what you're selling, you're not grifting. That's number one. If you believe in what you're selling and the people who buy it, let me add this, and the people who buy it believe in it too, you're not grifting. Now, again, it doesn't mean that everything you're selling is on the up and up. If you're a drug dealer in the streets, that's probably not good. You're hurting the people. The people who are buying your thing are hurting themselves. Actually, you're making it easy for them to hurt themselves. I wouldn't say you're hurting them because they're the ones who decide they want the drug. And they're the ones who bought it and they're the ones who use it. You are not directly hurting them, but indirectly you're participating in it. And at the same time, you may end up dead or in jail if you're doing that. But if you believe in the product and they believe in the product and you give them exactly what they thought they were getting and they're happy with their purchase, you're not grifting. Now, you may end up going to jail, but you're not grifting. Again, first law of economics, ladies and gentlemen, if someone's willing to buy it, someone will supply it. If you disagree with what's being sold, don't be mad at the person who is selling it. Be mad at the people who are buying it. That's what you need to get mad at. If you want to call the red pill influencers grifters, you're wrong. Come up with a term to label the people who are buying the stuff that they're selling if you got a problem with it. Because for some reason they're asking for it. If you got something better, then all you do in a capitalistic society is that you beat your competition by offering a better product and then you take away their customers. That's the way it works. And if you can't do that, don't be mad at all. That's actually the best idea. Point number 6. Today's topic, once again, is the red pill movement. Is it terrible for society? Yes or no? Number 6. My personal opinion overall on the red pill community. The same way that there are female-only spaces where women can gather and talk and help each other and bitch to each other about whatever they want to bitch to each other about when women get together. I'm sure, ladies, you can confirm this is the kind of things that women do when it's just them in the room. And women get to talk to each other and discuss anything they want to discuss. There's nothing wrong with men having a similar space. There's nothing wrong with this. Now, some people push back and say, well, Dre, the world has always been man's space. Women didn't always have the freedoms and the space and the resources to kind of get together and do things on their own. So men have always had a space. So that's maybe your pushback. I say, okay, so what's your point? If men want to create another space right now that is just for men, what is it doing to a woman? It's not doing anything to you. What is it doing to some feminine man who has the emotions and the thought processes of a woman, but is in a man's body? What is it doing to you that men have spaces that are just for men? You're not invited. It's not doing anything to hurt you. And as a matter of fact, you should be happy because when they're in that space, there are few of them around to bother you. So now you got more space to yourself. You should be happy that there's a man-only space, such as the red pill community. The pushback some may offer, again, men have always had their own space. Women haven't had the freedom. Okay, fine. That doesn't change the reality that men deserve to have spaces now, if they so choose. Furthermore, if you're a woman who does not fit any of the cynical frames that you believe the red pill movement may be teaching or that you think that it's teaching, then you have nothing to worry about because they're not talking about you. And just for the record, I had somebody when I was talking about this on my live streams the last couple of days from when I'm recording this, someone said, well, if there's going to be the red pill for men, we need the pink pill for women. That's what the commentator said. And I said to her, well, miss, you must not have been paying attention for the last 50 years because you already got the pink pill. It's called feminism. That's the pink pill, feminism. And not for nothing, the red pill only exists because feminism exists. And I've explained this before, feminism was started by women, but the only reason it took off and got legs is because of men. Because when feminism originally came out, men came out and said, fuck this bullshit. Y'all are not doing this. We are not listening to this whole concept of the matriarchy. There's nothing wrong with the patriarchy. We built society, we run society, we protect society, and the furthering of society will be done by capable men who are going and making things happen. Women have a role, which is in the nurturer role. Man's role is in the protector, the creator, and the provider role. And you're going to play your role. I'm going to play my role. And no, we're not doing this feminist bullshit. Shut this stuff up and go make me a sandwich. If men had said that, all men said that to all women at the time that feminism first showed signs of life, there would be no feminism. The only reason we have feminism is because a bunch of feminine energy men bought into the bullshit of feminism. And the only way feminism can move forward is if some men bought in. That's it. And what has happened, now we have feminism as a breathing entity right now. And what happened is the people who started whatever began as it is now called the red pill community, they said we need to push back to this. And I want you all to understand, I gave you the first 3 laws of economics just a few days ago. Again, that was episode number, I'm sure I'm going to be referencing this one a lot in the future. Episode 3261, the first 3 laws of economics. And I told you in that episode that the third law is trade-offs / opportunity costs / there is no such thing as a free lunch. What does this have to do with feminism and the red pill? Feminism created a force and energy And we all know, laws of physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Every force has an equal and opposite force. So the force of feminism led to the creation of the red pill movement. If there was no feminism, there would be no red pill. This is how it works. And the push of feminism, which is a woman can do everything a man can do, and you don't need no man, and just believe all women, and the Me Too movement, and all the bullshit that's come out of the feminism movement has caused men to say, okay, we need an equal and opposite reaction to the bullshit that women are telling each other and trying to put on us. We're going to create the red pill community, and we're going to do the same thing back. Here's the problem, feminists. Let me tell you what the problem is on the horizon, and you may be dealing with it already because this is going to be a problem. Problem is, if a bunch of men in the community and a bunch of women in their own community come head to head and it becomes a head-on battle, feminists will not win. Feminism will not win. It cannot win. There's a reason we've never had a society completely run and led by women ever in the history of mankind, because women are not made to do that. And further, if you have a society, in order to sustain a society and to keep it sovereign, you must be able to fight off enemies who may want to invade, attack, or destroy what you have. And no community run by women is capable of doing that against a community run by men. It's impossible. It is biologically not designed to work. That's why it's never happened. So if feminism and the red pill movement end up clashing, the only way the feminist community could ever win is if a bunch of men join their army, i.e. feminine energy men. I just did an entire series telling you why men need to stop being pussies. All right, these are the kind of men who join the feminist movement. Episode 3224. The more of them there are, the better chance the feminist movement has. The problem is you're being led by a bunch of feminine energy men. They come against some masculine energy men. They're not going to win. And the red pill community is teaching men to be more masculine. Maybe you don't like the way they're doing it. Maybe you think it's toxic masculinity. Maybe you don't like their approach and their strategies. But are they trying to make men more masculine? Yes, they are. And masculine men against feminine energy men, the masculine men will win 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. That's the problem that any of you on the feminist side or anti-red pill side has, because eventually they are going to come to a head. I'm predicting, I'm telling you right now what's going to happen. All this said, let's recap today's class. This is part 2 of our ongoing mini-series that the red pill community is terrible for society. Number 4, some say the red pill movement is only an echo chamber and confirms and validates things many men may cynically already believe about women. I say, so what? All right, same way that there are women's movements and women's groups that confirm and validate cynical ideas women have about men. Again, has this been going on for a long time? You seen the movie The Color Purple? You seen the movie Waiting to Exhale? What are they doing in those movies? Bashing men and putting it on mass media on a silver screen and showing it to the whole world. So if women can do it and it becomes acceptable, nothing wrong with men deciding, again, laws of physics, equal and opposite reaction. Number 5, grifting, they said. Grifting is meaning someone is scamming and making money dishonestly by swindling people. You're not swindling someone if you're telling them what you're offering them. You actually offer it and they're willing to pay for it. That is not a swindle. You may not like what's being sold. That does not mean somebody is grifting. People need to stop using this term. Any of you have been using this term, stop using it. Number 6, my personal opinion overall is same way that there are female-only spaces where women do things to support and help other women, even if you may not agree with the way they do it. There is nothing wrong then with there being a man space when men are doing the same thing, even if indeed the same way you don't agree with what they're doing. And it does not change the reality, excuse me, that men deserve to have their own spaces right now if they so choose. Furthermore, if you're a woman who does not fit any of the cynical frames being talked about, allegedly, by the red pill community, you have nothing to worry about because they're not talking about you. And that's it. All that said, everybody, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Have me as your direct coach. Let's get your message out to the world. Let's get your movement where it needs to be. And let's get your audience in front of you so that they can get what they need and they're longing to get from someone who can give it to them the way they need to hear it, which is not everybody else. It is you. They need to hear it from you. Let's get you out in the world so you can help the people you are called on to help. That's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all